So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my straw in my brake free. And I'm just going to spray everything down. And I think I'm actually going to hold the straw because, adjust this too. I'm going to hold the straw because this thing has a tendency, the straw just kind of fly out of here. And it just makes everything a mess, so I don't want that to happen. So what I usually do is I give it a good spray down with this brake free. And the reason why is because I know that I'm going to be wiping it down and relubricating it anyway. And so I usually give it a pretty good spray down because I mean the kind of stuff that's in a gun that you're cleaning out, I mean if you can't tell already by the kind of harsh chemicals, it's pretty tough stuff. You know, this is stuff that's been produced by a chemical reaction in the gun, which is fire. So, see, there you go. Straw fell out. Yay! So, yeah. Focus on getting that straw in there. Okay. So, I sprayed down the slide. I'm going to spray down. Actually, what I'm going to do with the barrel is I'm just going to leave the barrel because I just cleaned it and I think the outside will be good. However, I am going to clean the inside of the barrel itself. So I let that soak for a little while I usually go around and do the other things. See, I can check this recoil spray here, make sure everything looks okay. Everything seems to be doing pretty well. I'm actually going to wipe this down because I did not wipe this down last time. It looks like there's a bit of buildup out here in this area right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that. So the way the recoil spring works is this is the recoil spring guide, this thing right here, and this is the spring. On a SIG Sauer, particularly mine here, as you can see, the orange side is painted, and it signifies that that part goes on first. Now, if for some reason it's worn down and the orange is no longer on there, or you don't have a color at all, the way you can tell is the recoil spring should be harder to get on. So in other words, you're going to put on the side that's more difficult to get in there, basically the tighter side. See, if you put it on the wrong way, it goes in much easier. So you should make sure you put it on the right way, and it's a little bit difficult to get in there. So yeah, what I'm going to do with this, I'm just going to go ahead and wipe this down and clean it. So go ahead and pull out my cotton patch here. It's a big cotton patch. Alright. Just go ahead and wipe it down. Clean the guide off here. And you can see the dirt. Okay? That dirt gets everywhere when you fire the gun. Okay? That dirt just goes everywhere. And I mean, this is after one time at the range. I think I shot maybe 100 rounds or so. So that's how dirty it gets. So I mean, you can imagine 2 or 3 times shooting 100 rounds, this thing's going to get filthy. And the problem with that is the dirtier it gets, it definitely has a higher chance of jamming and having other malfunctions. And of course you don't want that if you have to use your gun for self-defense. So I'm going to look at it real quick. I'm going to go ahead and spray some of the brake free onto the cotton here. Yeah, nothing too much, but I'm just going to go ahead and wipe it down with that. Make sure all the dirt's off, and also to lubricate it. One of the #1 things with gun cleaning and lubricating is a lot of people over lubricate their gun. Lubricating a gun is not like lubricating a motor or engine. It's a little bit different. You don't want to put very much lubrication on there. In other words, you just want to have a thin coat of lubrication on it. Okay, see, I just got all those little cotton fibers off there. Because see, these things, they're not perfect either. They also leave fibers. And so when you wipe stuff down with these things, they also it's kind of like you know, kind of like one of these Q-tips, which I think is kind of funny because, you know, everybody talks trash about the Q-tips, but like t-shirts, they leave crap behind too. So this is good now. Now I got the recoil spring. The recoil spring looks pretty good. I'm not going to test the recoil spring right now. It's not really needed. So I'm going to go ahead and put the spring back on the spring guide, and we're going to set that side. Now, the slide should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the slide. The slide actually takes the longest, this part here, so bear with me on this. So what I'm going to do is, this is where I usually use the Q-tips. I start cleaning out in here like this. These little kind of nooks and crannies in here get pretty dirty, and it's hard to get to these without a Q-tip. Honestly, you could use one of these little cotton patches, and you can loop it through a tool that I'll show you guys later. But to get like the main kind of first level of crap out, I usually use the Q-tips, just because they're shaped like perfectly for this job. So, and you can see how obviously how dirty that was. This is just filthy. So, okay. So yeah, go finish this out. This thing's actually still kind of wet from the break free. Now, I'm actually just going to use this cotton patch here, and I'm just going to start really wiping it down. I apologize if I've taken the subject out in and out of the frame here. I'm trying to keep an eye on that, but I'm also trying to clean the gun properly. So, as you can see, I'm wiping it down. Basically what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get all of that solvent that I sprayed basically off of this, and with the dirt, you know, because when I do that, it's gonna remove the dirt. So that's pretty much the purpose of it. And then see if I can get some of that off there too. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and lower this just a little bit more. There we go. So now, one thing too is these the slide rails here, like the slide guide rails, are right there. You want to make sure you clean those pretty well too. And like I said before, I'll probably use a Q-tip for those, just because the Q-tips. Oh, I just hit the camera. The Q-tip is easy to get in the slide area right here. It's just easy to. It fits in there really well. So, I mean, it's not typically the dirtiest place in the gun, because it's kind of isolated from the actual explosion, but I mean, you can see there's still some dirt on there. So you want to get the slide all cleaned up. And now most of the topical dirt and stuff is gone up top, up here. I still have a little bit more to get off. You really got to get this, you know, you really got to get in those crannies, because you can't let that stuff build up. Because if that stuff builds up, then your gun's gonna suck, basically. So, and you don't want that to happen. Like I said, you know, chances are, if you have a gun, you could depend on it for protection, and you should never neglect your gun like that. Because how pissed off would you be if somebody broke into your house, threatened you and your family, and then you go to shoot him, and then it jams, and then you get shot and killed? Like, I mean, and that would just suck. So you don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to spray a little bit more over here, kind of by the firing pin, but I'm not going to go directly into the firing pin area. Okay, you see that little hole right there? That's the firing pin, or that's where the firing pin comes out of. So I'm going to spray a little on there like that. And now I'm just going to try to wipe that down. Give it some good pushing, because that area gets pretty dirty, because it's right behind the explosion. I'm going to get the surrounding area as well. Get it all cleaned up here. I also have these brushes that I sometimes use there. I'm not sure if we're going to have to use today. There's a little bit of filth on there still. I think I'm going to use one of my brushes. So, yeah, I have these brushes like this one here. It's kind of just a regular brush, and it helps get some of that crap out of there.